Well, we're back. This is our first cold snap of the season. It's November 1st. It's 40 degrees this morning right here in Florida, where 2 days ago it was 85. So that's, quite a difference. But what we wanted to discuss with you today, let me put my mug down. I just finished up my cup of tea to keep me warm, is the dune buggy that I was talking about, that I was going to do a automatic to manual transmission conversion. It's a pretty big machine. As you can see, the tires come halfway up my thigh. They're probably hip high to most people because I'm kind of tall. These tires are just massive. Even the front tires that are on there are pretty big. This thing is really, really neat. I can't wait to see it running and take it for a drive. But he kept having problems with the flex plate. The guy brought it to me. He's a friend of a friend. And now newly he's my friend. But he's having a problem with the flex plate, which attaches to the engine. If you're familiar with that, it replaces the flywheel on an automatic transmission engine. So I've got to pull this motor out, remove the flex plate from it, put a true flywheel and clutch onto the motor, and then replace the entire transmission that you see up in here. It should come out fairly easily. It looks like there's 2 bolts right here on the top. Up around here in the front, it looks like there's, and I don't know if you can see it, but there's 2 bolts, one here and one over there. And remove the CV joints up under there and down below here. Take the entire axle out, and the whole transmission should fall out. Oh, I got to remove the shifter linkage too. The cables that come off of that have to be removed from the transmission. That whole automatic transmission should come out. And then I have the manual transmission that I rescued from that one bus. Remember, the one came out rotten, and then we got this one out of another bus. And this one seems to shift just fine. All the parts turn. There's no grinding or anything that sounded awful. In fact, when I dumped the gear oil out of it, it looked pretty clean. So it had been parked for a number of years, but I would say it was maintained prior to that. So this thing ought to be just fine. This is a late model bus transmission. So you can see the 6 ribs that are here. These are found in 1976, I believe it was, to 79 buses only in a bus. It's a big heavy-duty transmission as opposed to the little bug transmissions, which is what you see here, that aren't as reinforced and don't have as big of a ring and pinion gears. So this transmission is much more durable than the Beetle transmission. So for something like a Sandrail, this is what you're going to want. So my task is to put that in. So the engine has to come out, and then the transmission has to come out. And then I believe 2 of the bolts are probably going to line up, the 2 that go to the top of the transmission here. But all the mounting hardware in the front is going to have to be completely fabricated. Being this is a buggy, it's custom, if you will. It's not like putting this into a bug where people have predefined parts that they've made that you could just buy off the shelf to install. But this being a custom buggy, I'm going to have to come up with something to mount it all together in the front. So once the transmission is dropped and this one is in its place, and those 2 bolts are put in, if they line up, pretty sure they will, then I can start taking some measurements and start building some brackets to get the front end mounted. The axles on the automatic transmission are also considerably shorter. So the automatic transmission is much wider, much wider than the manual transmission is. So the axles have to be replaced as well. I don't have them here. I don't know where the hell I put them, but I have a set of manual transmission axles, which I hope are long enough. Being that this is a buggy, and this is custom, you know, we may run into a problem. So I have to take some extra measurements and make sure everything is copacetic and is going to work. Otherwise, I do have a set of bus axles that are manual transmission, and these CV joints look pretty good, so I might be swapping these CV joints over to the new set of axles. But this is the buggy, which is full of pine needles, because that's what my yard does this season. But I've had this here for, a couple weeks as I've been gathering up parts. But the whole heart of the transplant, of course, is the transmission itself. And I just scored that last weekend. and it took the entire weekend to clean it. I mean, it was disgusting. It was so caked with crap on the outside of it, it was just a mess. But now it looks pretty damn good. Yeah, it looks pretty good, so that's going to go right on into here. This buggy's kind of neat also. It has a hood. And the battery lives up front, and a whole bunch of other junk, toe straps and all this other stuff. The buggy's a little rough because it's been sitting around and it's been moved around and bumped into, and you know, one of the headlights got broken off and it looks like the mirror was sagging over here. So it's going to need some love. But my task was to get the transmission replaced and get it running nicely. And then after that, I turn it back to its original owner, and he gets to go have some fun with it. Hopefully before it gets too cold. And I say that now as I'm wearing my knit hat while it's 40 degrees here in Florida. Yeah, cold. So that's the dune buggy project. That's what we got coming up here. I'm probably going to start working on this today, so watch for an upcoming video on it with updates coming up soon.